Welcome back to PDX Garden Home. Here in my driveway garden in Portland, Oregon, in the Pacific Northwest. We're at that quiet but important stage of the season. Today, I'm taking a look at the seedlings that we started in the garage nursery and how they've been coming along. There's been quite a bit of progress, the small beginnings starting to find their shape. So come along with me and let's see how things have been growing. It is cold this morning, 33 degrees. Is it spring? Really? Well, despite the cold, I gotta water the seedlings because they're inside in the garage and they're staying nice and warm and they're drying out. So let's get some water on these things. Whew. All right. Oh, we got the blue wheat here. See how that's going? Growing this as a decorative, so yeah, that's pretty close to being ready to being needed to be pot up in some way. Got a lot of stuff that needs to be potted up, but I'm running out of time between my retaining wall project and other things. That is one of the challenges that I run into this time of year is growing all these seedlings, and then they get to a point where some things need to be potted up, and then they start to get crowded, and I don't have the time to get them potted up yet, and it's the thing I try to remind myself is that if you're going to make the time investment, the time, and there's money involved too. If you're going to make the investment, all things, time, resources, money, to put these seedlings, get these seedlings going and everything, you got to also have the time. You got to plan to have the time to then follow up and do the necessary next steps, whether it's fertilizing or potting up or getting them out into the garden. Otherwise, it's a time delayed project, right? And so that's one of the things that makes gardening interesting, is that it's not just you just do it and forget it. It's there are multiple steps, and it carries on over a period of time. Okay, I've got some Cosmos here. Cosmos here, the yellow Cosmos, and then the apricota Cosmos, and then I've got my calendula over here, Zeolites calendula. One of the things that's sometimes a mystery to me is like the cell trays, they'll be completely damp in one area, and then you'll have like a random cell that's totally dried out. I don't know if it's maybe just shoot, lost a seedling there. I don't know if it's just the elevation of the tray, like it happened, maybe the tray is tilted like this way and this way or something, but it is kind of random, right? Because if it was tilted this way, for example, you'd expect these to be dried out as well. So it's like having one dried out over here is strange to me. Maybe it's how it starts out. Maybe that soil was particularly dry when I put it in there to begin with. Okay, these are the eggplants and peppers, which are doing okay. Eggplants here. These, I was mentioning earlier, needing to take the time to pot things up. This would be the primary example. these are ready to be potted up for sure. So they're just kind of in a holding pattern. They're just surviving a little bit in here while I try to get the time to take them to the potting bench and potting them up. So that'll be a fun project. I'll share with you all when I can grab some time to go do it. Just a little bit of diluted liquid fertilizer here. Once again, if you haven't followed my other videos, to keep in mind that my potting mix doesn't have any fertilizer in it. So sometimes depending on what you're using, if you're using kind of a true straight potting mix, it probably wouldn't have fertilizer in it, or a seedling mix, it wouldn't have fertilizer in it. But if you're using like what I've used before very successfully, by the way, I'm not doing that this year. I'm using an actual seeding mix this year, but I've gotten just the bags of the kind of commercial potting mix, Miracle Grow potting mix that you can get. They usually have them on, they're usually selling them for a reasonable price at Costco this time of year. The ones that are about this size or whatever, and I potted up in those, and that's great, but those already have fertilizer in them, so I wouldn't do this step if you're doing something like that. So bottom line, just pay attention to the package of anything you're using. Check and see, does it actually have fertilizer in it? You don't want to over fertilize your seedlings. These beets are looking okay. When they're not looking perfect the way I'd exactly like them necessarily, but now nothing's really excited about getting hardened off in 33-degree weather. They would handle it, but if my temperatures are going from 33 to 50 like they are today, that doesn't speak well to. That's too much water. I'm gonna dump some. Okay, that doesn't suggest good putting out in the garden time. So of course there's stuff that's already out there in this weather, but I would rather the temperatures be kind of in the 40 to 60 degree range for putting this stuff out. Got a good mix of stuff here. I was wondering if the fennel was going to germinate. It took the longest, but it's germinated. We've got some fennel here. We've got some golden beets. This is cauliflower, red cabbage, Copenhagen cabbage, and then the aspo which is the broccoli that is kind of the what do they call it? Sprouting broccoli, the kind that they call it aspo because it looks like it's not really, but it looks like a cross between asparagus and broccoli is the idea. Okay. Let's get some water. I'm gonna water and start getting these, start a fertilizer program for these guys at this stage. Oh, these poor peppers and eggplants, I really let them dry out. So let's get them going. I'm gonna do all the things: top water, bottom water. This is the kind of thing where it's like, huh. I think what you'll see is that these will bounce back. But I always wonder that the fact that I did this to them, does that mean that they're now stressed out and they're not going to perform well in the garden later? We will find out this season. All right, I've got some Nicotiana, the bronze Nicotiana. You can see they're got a little bit of sprouts there. My turnips, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. They don't want to germinate. Maybe they just take more time. I'll leave them in there. Let's see what happens. This is bok choy here, purple choy some more beets, and then some Chinese cabbage here, or Napa cabbage. These are radishes here, the French breakfast radishes, and they're definitely ready to be out. Again, it's 30 degrees this morning, so I'm not going to put them out right now, but they, you know, it's questionable whether you grow these in cell trays at all. Most people would just seed them straight into the ground, but I do it this way because I'm very particular about growing everything in cell trays first if I can. I've got arugula here, and then this is just your typical like bunching onions. Not typical, they're a red variety of bunching onions, so kind of the white onion that you normally would get. Very similar, but with little red ends instead of white ends. I'm not going to fertilize the radish for sure. I'll maybe throw some fertilizer on the arugula there. Okay, all right, well, this is for sure kind of close to being a no-no here in terms of what I've done. Because these are seedlings, so, or they're still germinating. They're in the germination stage, or they were. You can see a lot of it's germinated, but it's close to drying out. Almost, some of this is almost bone dry here. And that's something, when it's germinating, you absolutely do not want things to dry out. So that's a function of me not paying close enough attention. Too into digging this week. You'll see sometimes I water the top and I bottom water, and it's because when I'm totally dried out, I'm just like, I gotta get some moisture on these things right away. I don't have time. I don't necessarily want it to wait until the water can get wicked up. I don't know how long that process usually takes otherwise, but it's like emergency. They're coming. These seedlings are coming to the emergency room for acute treatment. These are the petunias and the saplogosis. Petunias, yeah, there's some petunias in there. Yep, and saplogosis. All right. Well, my spinach, you know, this is the problem I always have, is that I just get weird germination when it comes to spinach, and I don't know exactly why. I think maybe it's temperature. Maybe it's that in my little grow room, my garage area, it's actually too warm for them in terms of germination, but it's kind of a catch-22 because if I need to have them under lights, and if I put them out here in the outside garden, I think it's too cold for them. So yeah, if you have any kind of similar experience with this or thoughts, please let me know in the comments, because this is a challenge. This is a perennial challenge for me, getting spinach germination. It's pretty much like this, and then I'll get these kind of in the ground. Maybe we'll get some more germination here. I'm going to go ahead and put some fertilizer for the ones that are up. It's otherwise pretty damp, so I don't think they need more moisture at this stage. Okay, got some lettuces here, and then the sweet alyssum, which is a flower that it's kind of more of like a ground coverish looking flower, and it smells beautiful in the garden. I actually have some that's over winter that's already out in the garden, but I'm looking forward to putting more out. I'm gonna bottom these are ready for water, but they're not in emergency status, so I'm just gonna bottom water here, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of fertilizer on there. I think they're ready for that. And away we go. Cosmos, looking good. Delphiniums. This kind of patchy germination is normal from my experience, so I'm not particularly concerned about that for the delphiniums. These Cosmos are up. I'm gonna give them some fertilizer, get some water in there, and then throw some fertilizer on the top. And these are looking the way they should look at this stage. I know this looks leggy. I think it kind of is, but the way my light setup is, it's kind of interesting, is that the seedlings will look leggy at first, but then they kind of just fill out and they don't look so leggy once they have grown up more. So I think that if I was more, kind of the theme of the day is I'm not entirely on top of things when it comes to the seedlings, because I get, especially this time of year, I get excited about being outside and doing the other stuff. And so what I was going to say is, I think if I was more on top of it, I could like adjust it in terms of its closeness to the lights. And so maybe I could start it out a little bit closer so it didn't look leggy at first, and then bring it down as things changed. But I've seen this before, been through this movie. This will work out just fine in terms of these Cosmos. No worries. And that's a wrap. I got all my seedlings watered, so that's a review of everything that is under the lights at the moment. I've still got more seeds to plant now. Hopefully I'll get to that here before the end of March. And then I've also, as you saw in the discussion here, got a lot of things to be potting up. But man, it's cold. I'm going to get back to digging at the retaining wall. Okay, you going to water it some? There you go. Good job. Good work. There you go. Yeah, you and Dad are watering some of the seedlings here, huh? Maddie, what were you watering?
Snapdragons.
Yeah, the snapdragons. Wow, this is the longest worm I've seen in my garden. That's a biggie. It's at this stage, the quiet seedlings under lights set against the awakening of the spring outside, that the garden is finally starting to take some shape. These seedlings may still be small, but they carry with them the promise of what's to come. In the weeks ahead, they will head outside to harden off, then into the beds and into the weather and into their new phase of growth. But for now, this is where it begins. Thanks for gardening with me today, and I'll see you in the next video.